Hey guys, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Welcome to a brand new day. Taking some time out of your day to check out today's video. All of you guys out there that are out there in the dating arena putting forth some effort to meet somebody who you perhaps would like to spend more time with or develop a relationship with. So yes, date night fragrances are definitely a genre. There are two schools of thought when it comes to dating fragrances. While on one hand, you can't pin a lot of expectation or obligation on a fragrance to get you a date. That's really on you and your personality and what you say and do in that relationship, as opposed to what you're wearing. You can't underestimate the power of a good fragrance on that first date, on that second date, or even if you've been dating someone for a while. A fragrance can be in that way kind of like a wingman. It can speak for you. So that's why it's important to wear the right fragrance. And in today's video, the Court of Public Opinion has actually curated these 10 fragrances. So when we come back, we're gonna go over these 10 excellent date night fragrances for the daring man that will definitely get you noticed. That and more is coming your way, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So today we're talking about date night fragrances. I've got to do a date night video on occasion simply because it's such an important genre. When you first meet somebody and you're dating them or you're wanting to date them, you can have a great time. And while there's no replacement for self-confidence and saying and doing the right things, a fragrance can go a long way in kind of helping you bump up your self-confidence and make you feel you're going into the situation ready and prepared, because the daring man is definitely prepared to get noticed. Dating can feel a bit like spacewalking. Sometimes you feel like you're just a quick unfastening of your helmet away from permadeath. That feeling is actually a lie, though, for two reasons. Firstly, you got to understand that the other person is feeling exactly the same way. And secondly, it's just nervousness. It's not reality. It's just a barrier that often people call ice. And we have this social need to break it first before we can begin feeling comfortable. And a fragrance can go a long way in breaking the ice. Now we've got 10 fragrances to go over, and I've placed 2 fragrances in a category that they can be utilized or used. The first category is sexy and smoldering. You know, a lot of women like a guy that's going to be a little bit quiet, but when he says something, he says it with determination, with force, and there's meaning behind it. The kind of fragrance that can depict you as that kind of sexy, smoldering kind of guy would be like a dry aldehydic, but even a little bit sweet. And the perfect fragrance for that is a Paco Rabanne fragrance called Pure Excess Night. Pure Excess Night is a wonderfully gourmand fragrance, but you don't think of gourmand when you smell this, at least not right away, because it's got that dry elegance about it, and it's one of those fragrance sillages that actually builds over time. Primarily, you're getting ginger, vanilla, myrrh, salted caramel, cinnamon, and cacao. Give it a little bit of chocolatey edge there, along with your salted caramel. So a lot of rich gourmand notes. Honestly, gourmand's one of the best date night fragrances. Women love sweet things, smelling and experiencing. Pure Excess Night is an excellent, sexy, smoldering fragrance. The second in our sexy and smoldering category is the fragrance that was #1 in the design release for 2022. I actually put a link above if you want to check that out. It is from Azzaro. It is the Most Wanted Parfum. Fantastic, excellent fragrance. This one is a beast mode fragrance, so you got to be careful about how much you spray on. Basically, you've got red ginger in the top, you've got some woody notes in the heart, and then bourbon vanilla is what wraps it up into an incredibly formidable package. The Most Wanted Parfum I recommend to be in every man's dating kit, because it is a necessity if you want to get noticed, if you want to get compliments on what you're wearing and turn heads. This will definitely do it for you in a very sexy and smoldering way. Our next category is boozy and intelligent. Two things that don't often go together. If you're going to meet somebody for a date, try not to overdrink. You don't want to end up turning her head and having her see this. That's not going to bode well for anybody. As with most things, like good food, bad puns, and the amount of fragrance sprays, moderation is key. The first fragrance in our boozy and intelligent category is a fragrance from Abercrombie & Fitch. It carries a very well-known DNA that many women are already familiar with, so that's going to be actually a bonus that'll work in your favor. It is Fierce Reserve. Fierce Reserve is often an underutilized fragrance because I don't think many people realize that in the Fierce line of fragrances, this is, in my experience, one of the best and will get you noticed for all the right reasons. You're looking at basically sage, amber, leather, and whiskey, so you've got some kind of a suede or leather textile feel along with your boozy, sensual, kind of rough but smooth combination. It is a fantastic fragrance. The only issue I have is its longevity. It wears really well when you're wearing it for the first several hours, but after about that 4th or 5th hour, you probably want to put a little bit more on, especially if you're going for a lot longer date than just for a dinner or something like that. But for a dinner, for a movie, something that's only going to be a few hours, it is perfect for that. Fierce Reserve by Abercrombie & Fitch. Second in our boozy and intelligent category is also featuring a whiskey, but it is a Scotch whiskey absolute and the very romantic note of iris. Iris is obviously the note of the year for fragrance for men's fragrance, and this actually has two kinds of iris. It is Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. It is a fantastic, boozy, intelligent fragrance on so many levels. Bergamot, whiskey, chestnut. You've got two different kinds of iris. You've got benzoin, which warm, sweet, and resinous. A nice Virginia cedar wood. You've got vetiver and sourced patchouli that makes this an epic, rounded, super well-rounded fragrance. Along with that boozy feel, you get that just a really elegant iris note in the background there, pushing this forward. Pretty sexy fragrance, honestly, and if you don't have it in your date night kit, you definitely want to check this out, especially out of all of the Givenchy Gentleman fragrances. Reserve Privé is the one to own. Our next date night category is Save Room for Dessert. Something is going to be a little bit sweet, maybe foody. Food can often be considered an aphrodisiac, and though we're not necessarily considering it that, fragrance definitely can spark interest and attention, especially if it's worn appropriately. Our very first fragrance in the Save Room category is a Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo. Tiramisu is an actual dessert, but when you smell it in fragrance form, it is extremely attractive. Black pepper, cardamom, orange blossom, there's quite a bit of ambroxan. Food or gourmand fragrances can often die off relatively easy because it's a food note. So you need something that's going to carry it. Ambroxan does a fantastic job of adding volume to gourmand fragrances, and it does a great job in Uomo. It's rounded out with cashmere wood, sandalwood, and a bit of tonka bean, because tonka bean is often used in desserts as well. That combination of tiramisu, tonka bean, and cashmere wood in this makes this a fantastic fragrance that she will not soon forget. Salvatore Ferragamo's Uomo. Also want to make mention that although you mostly would wear these fragrances in cooler weather, especially on a regular basis, it does not matter the temperature. When you're on a date and things are going well, they're going to heat up anyway, so it doesn't matter the temperature of where you're going or what's happening. It's usually going to be nighttime unless it's a day date, and if you're going to do something in high heat with your date, though I wouldn't recommend that, then of course you might want to stray from gourmand fragrances or any heavily sweet fragrance. Having said that, these can be worn anytime. Second in our Save Room for Dessert category is Valentino Uomo's Born in Roma Yellow Dream. This is a great, youthful, fruity, pineapple, vanilla-oriented fragrance. This will remind you very much of Stronger With You, any Stronger With You really, but Stronger With You intensely. You know, it's got kind of that glazed chestnut, sweet caramelized overall air to it, especially in the dry down, but it's got a bit more of a youthful bent to it, especially with that pineapple in the open, which does last quite a bit into the dry down. This is cauterized by gingerbread, vanilla absolute, and cedar wood in the base. Valentino Uomo's Born in Roma Yellow Dream. We're moving into a new category entitled Exciting and Enticing. Fragrance can be like a new experience or a familiar experience, you know, it can be the polar opposite of those. The first fragrance in the enticing and exciting category is Eros Flame by Versace. Eros Flame carries that familiar Eros DNA that so many women may have already smelled, because a lot of guys are wearing Eros out there, but it does something just a bit different. It lights a fire to it. It adds flame, like literal spice to the Eros DNA. It's got pepper, rosemary, pepperwood, geranium, so there's a lot of volume-oriented fragrance notes in here to carry this fragrance. Very similar to the Most Wanted Parfum, this is a beast of a fragrance. Gotta be careful about how much you spray on, but once she smells it, and her nose is captured and captivated by the DNA in this fragrance, it's really going to be hard for her to let go. She'll want to move closer and experience even more of Eros Flame, because it is enticing and exciting. Another fragrance that has been experienced on dance floors ad infinitum over the years. There's good thoughts and memories associated with Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultramall. Ultramall is probably the best epic clubbing fragrance of them all because it combines a lot of sweet, a lot of dry, and a lot of power and punch behind its fragrance DNA. I really enjoy this one. It's got that nice bubblegum kind of air about it that everyone mostly enjoys, but it goes a bit deeper than that. It's basically an epic mix of pear, lavender, clary sage, and a little bit of mint. So it's spicy, sweet, enticing. It is something new. It's fresh and exciting, but it's also a bit familiar, and all those are very positive. Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultramar. Our last category of 2 date night fragrances is playful and trustworthy. Now you might think trustworthy, we're talking about a date. Why is trustworthy important? Honestly, to the degree that your date feels comfortable with you is going to dictate how well that date goes. If she doesn't feel like she can trust you, or if she feels like you're an absolute desperate thirst lord with an agenda, then it's not going to go very well. While there's nothing wrong with being a little bit nervous and maybe even a little bit desperate, you don't want to exude toxic masculinity. That's going to kill a date quicker than giving her the check for the dinner, right? Fragrances do have a specific air about them, and 1 million elixir. First of all, 1 million elixir is epically sweet. Once a woman smells this fragrance on you, she's going to want to smell it even more. Apple and Divana, fantastic combination. Probably the best playful and trustworthy combination out there, I think. This also has a bit of Turkish rose and osmanthus in the heart, which are very intriguing, but in the base are that very, very warm, welcoming, and familiar tonka bean and vanilla and cedarwood combination. And that's what makes this, like this fragrance, when you first spray it on, can feel a bit overbearing, a little bit oversweet. Once it begins building, which it takes it a good 30 minutes to come to its own and breathe a bit, that is where it finds its epic pacing. And when she smells this on you, when you walk by or she walks by you and hits that sillage trail, it's going to immediately capture her imagination. No matter what your demeanor is, you're going to come off as that kind of playful, trustworthy kind of guy. At least that's the impression that many are getting from this fragrance. Our second fragrance in the playful and trustworthy category is another iris-oriented fragrance, but it's just a touch of iris. It's mostly got that lightly gourmand sweet with a bit of a fragrance note that's been purported to be an aphrodisiac. It is by Hugo Boss. It's the Scent Le Parfum. The Scent Le Parfum is a new fragrance, but it's already garnered a lot of positive reviews. The Scent Le Parfum is definitely one of the best in the scent line. It has that manica fruit, which is dusty and sweet and attention grabbing. This will definitely get you attention. It will get you compliments. It will definitely pull interest. The Scent Le Parfum also oozes confidence. So if you're not feeling particularly confident, let the fragrance take up for you just a bit. Besides that citrus, that ginger, that manica fruit, you've also got some leather and precious woods in the base to round this out. Overall, one of the better date night sweet, playful oriented fragrances, and that's why I recommend it as the final in the playful and trustworthy category. The Scent Le Parfum by Hugo Boss. Once again, it's completely up to you how your date goes, but these fragrances, if you use them and use them appropriately, use them wisely, they will go a very long way into proving that you're the kind of guy that she wants to know more of, get you that attention, get you those compliments without any kind of solicitation, and just put you in the right frame of mind and her in the right frame of mind to take that date or that relationship to the next wanted level. As always, if you've got experience with any of these fragrances, let me know what that experience is like. And if I've missed a particularly well-known or well-loved fragrance that you've used in the dating arena, let me know what that is or what those are as well. Thanks so much though for stopping by and checking out today's list video. And as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.